Hello there.
Welcome back to Empower to the People.
Yes,
I'm Paige.
And I am Coretta.
So today we are going to be talking about something that's a little juicy.
A little juicy.
We're going to be talking about cultural differences, specifically racial differences. This is something that's brought up a lot in my treatment room with clients because as a white woman and I'm a service provider in the beauty industry, I have a very diverse clientele, but a majority of my clientele are melanated women.
All right, melanated.
Yes.
They're black women.
They're black women.
Yeah, Paige had to ask me this question because when we was prepping, she was like, "Well, people of color," and I was like, "Paige,
just say black women."
I was like, "Say black women." She's like, "Does that matter?" And I'm just like,
"No,
not for me."
But you know what?
I'm black. I don't want somebody to refer to me as a woman of color, but everybody is different.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why I ask you.
Yeah.
Because everybody is different. And we'll go into like this in a different, but like, you know, even in the LGBTQ community with the pronouns thing, like we're all still adjusting to this too. So I say melanated women, women of color, people of color, or black women.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's what our topic's going to be about today because as a white woman providing beauty services in the industry and having a very diverse clientele, I have come into conversations, thankfully, with a lot of clients and a lot of non-clients who are curious about why you see so many black women as clients, which always kind of like surprises me that somebody would ask, but it's always white people asking me
that. How do they even know your demographic though?
Because they see like
when
my clients are coming in and they know I'm white and they're like, well, do you do something different? I'm like, this is what I've always said. An eyebrow's an eyebrow and all money's green. So what's your real question?
Yeah.
I've even had other service providers in the industry. So I'm an esthetician, a skin therapist, and I specialize in custom eyebrow shaping. And you know, in the beauty, can you tell?
Yes.
So, you know, but in the beauty industry, we see different hairstylists because we have different hair types. So I think sometimes that's when I get the question, like, do you do something different? Like, do you do black hair? No, I don't mess with the hair on your scalp. I'm taking hair off of your face. But all brows are different, but it's like brow shaping is brow shaping.
Okay.
It's a certain form of art. Okay.
It is.
And I know skin. So like cosmetologists know hair, I know skin. And so I'm looking at your skin, but I have to be able to, like, skin is skin, whether you are more melanated or less melanated. But, you know, I have to know healthy skin and how to treat that skin regardless of how much melanin, you know, that is present. But it's amazing how many people are so curious about why somebody who looks like me has so many clients that look like you.
Okay.
And after a while, like, it got really old getting the same. Every time I would move to a new location in my 15 years of doing this, I would always get the people who I worked with, like other coworkers or whatever, they would be like, so I noticed that you have a lot of black clients. And I'm like, it got to the point where I'd be like, yeah, all right, what's your question?
Yeah. As a black woman, especially our beauty standards, it's a trust factor. So, all right. I can totally understand that.
Yes.
So even with my clientele, they're like, when I went on your website, I saw you as a black woman doing this kind of work.
Thank God, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So I do understand that it is definitely a trust thing, especially dealing with the face.
Yes. Okay. Because that is there has to be a factor of trust anyway, because like you're entrusting your appearance to me, a stranger, but then let alone you're coming in to see a white stranger. Okay. So, and also when you, like, I just relate it to hair because beauty industry, right? And we care very much about our hair, but I know like hair care in the black community is a whole different ballgame.
Oh yeah.
Okay. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It is a whole different subject, right? So they're like, well, what are you
going to do?
It is. It is. And here's the thing. It's like, so then when I have black clients come to me, it usually took them a good friend who's been coming to me for a while to say like, look, I know she's white, but she knows what she's doing. Because that's not only have I gotten questions from white people about my diverse clientele. I have Black clients that are like, I need to see at least three people.
Oh wow!
You know, now I'm just like, you know what I mean?
True though.
Like, I gotta know at least 3 people.
It might have been a fluke.
Yeah, and how many people come in and like, I'm not gonna lie, when so and so said you were white, I was a little apprehensive. I'm just at this point, I'm like, I know it's all right. Well, now let me show you why you're here.
You gotta toot your horn.
I do, because it's like, I don't care. I know I'm good at what I do. You know. And I love everybody who comes through my door because you're supporting my business, and I could not be more grateful.
With me, I couldn't tell you what my demographic is like.
Yours is very diverse.
It is very diverse. I see a whole lot, but it was so funny. Maybe a couple months ago, I had a lady who came from out of town, and she was like, you know, I just had to come and get some of that Black girl magic, and I went,
was she white?
Yes.
I would feel so uncomfortable saying that to a Black woman, though. Like,
yeah. Afterwards, I was like,
"What you mean?
What is that about?" So I have moments like that where I was like,
"Did you ever ask her?"
No.
Oh, I would have been so curious. Like, what do you mean exactly? Like, what, you coming to see your hoodoo mama or what? Like, because that's what I'm like.
In a moment, what? It didn't even process. I just laughed because I was like, "Wait a minute! Like, what is that about?" But then afterwards, I processed it. Like, did she really just say that? Like, what? What does she mean by that? And she was like, but you're just really great at what you do. All your reviews were so great. And I just really wanted to come and see. But then it kind of made me, she wasn't the type that was like judgmental or anything like that, or just reading into anything.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, that is a common statement at this point now. Like, I even have earrings that say Black girl magic. So I wasn't offended at all. It was just like,
sometimes it's who it comes from. I am so grateful that I have such a beautiful, loving, informative clientele that's willing to like educate me over the years about stuff and allow me to ask questions openly, and so that I can understand.
That's a great thing.
That is a beautiful thing, because the thing is, to me, a lot of it's just common sense and empathy. You know what I mean? Like, when it's explained to me, I'm like, why wouldn't somebody consider that? So, I don't know, like, I understand Black girl magic is like, I mean, because there is an essence and a strength that, which we are also going to talk about today. We have a video to show you that we'd like to kind of lead us into more onto our topic. There's an essence to Black women and a strength and an artistry to Black women that I think white women would love to embody. Because we're not taught early on certain things that Black women are taught, for better or worse. But I think in a certain way it serves Black women very well, because it has to.
I was about to say, we don't know anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the video she's talking about is something I came across on Instagram one day, and it was talking about, this lady posed a question about sisterhood and how white women do not have sisterhood. And I sent it to her, and I was just like, is this true? And it was just basically going into how white women view other white women as competition.
And right off the rip, I was like, yep.
Yeah. And I'm like,
it is.
Granted, that probably is in the community of Black women, but it more than anything, we cheering each other on. Like, yes, sis, get it done, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's more rooting for each other. Like how Issa Rae say, at any award, she like, I'm rooting for whoever Black. Let me be clear. When we talk about this subject, I am not speaking for all Black women or the Black community. I'm just speaking from experience. Because everybody is different. In all cultures, everybody is different. Some do not resonate with certain things. So I am going to be speaking about from my opinion and my life, and the I guess you could say circumstances that has happened in my life.
Yes, same. Yeah. And I can only speak from the interactions with clients that I have and friends that I'm close with that have educated me, or things that I have noticed and experienced myself as a white woman, or as a white woman being friends with other Black women.
So in the video, she brings up the fact that we as Black women are taught to go to college to get our degree, period, point blank. And she says, no, white women are taught to go get their Mrs. degree.
MRS.
Yes. And I'm like, that is so true. You guys go to school and you're looking for your husband. We going to get that bachelor's and that master's and possibly a PhD just to
Why? On. Because you have to.
We have to, absolutely.
Because you have to prove yourself that much harder.
Yeah. And Paige did not, you go ahead and talk about how your client, you didn't know about that.
Okay. So,
when she brought it up to me, I was like, oh yeah, it's a given, but go ahead.
Yeah, also in that video, it's funny, with white women, they talk about, but if you are childless, unmarried, independent, run your own business, you're seen as, before it even came out of her mouth, I said, a bitch, right? A bitch. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I've been referred to as a bitch or like selfish or whatever, because I won't settle. And I'm like, I want what I want. But, you know, we are really, really villainized for that as white women. And the client situation I'm talking about, I had a client back in the day, she told me, she said, my mom taught me when I was really young, whatever you do next to a white girl, a white person, you're going to have to do it 10 times better. Why, Mom? Because you're Black.
Yeah.
And that was just like, I was like, what?
Yeah, it's ingrained in us from childhood. And like, it's a guarantee that you will always look down upon. You always have to prove yourself that you are worthy for a quote unquote seat at the table.
Boom, you are worthy. So there it is, like a core wound that I'm addressing right now that is, I guess, instilled. It sounds like instilled at a young age by teaching you that as Black women, is that you are not worthy just as you are. You have to prove yourself worthy when no human being should have to prove their worthiness. You being alive and you being here is worthy enough. You are worthy enough. But in our society, you got to prove it.
So question.
Yes.
Because it's often on videos where you see parents having their children in front of the mirror and speaking affirmations and making them speak it out loud. Have you seen those? I'm
yes.
Sure you have.
Yes.
Now, personally, for children that's in my life or whatnot, I'm like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're so cute. You're so smart. You know, we affirm that. Does that happen in your community?
Ooh. I will say, okay, so I see my sister, like our generation is doing that to our kids. Okay. Like I do that to my niece and my nephews. My sister's very good about doing it. But as far as like to us, again, I'm only speaking from my own experience. There was more criticism. There's more criticism. There's like, I think I will never forget one time I wanted to test this. I was probably 8, 9 years old, and I was also always very good, you know, like did my work a certain way, made sure my handwriting was nice. One day I colored a picture outside of the lines, like kind of scribble colored.
Yeah.
And I took it home, and I will never forget, my mom and my grandma were like, Paige, that is not you. Why would you do that? And I was like, I knew that's what they do. I never ever forgot that. I never forgot that. But I told Heretta a while back when I saw this video, I said something that always makes me so emotional is when I see that scene from The Help. When it's Viola Davis that says it, right? And she tells the little white girl that she's been taking care of, you are important. Like she's like affirming to her, and I'm like, like, I mean, because it's like, oh, I have to tell myself that now, because I don't believe that anybody ever sat me down and was like, you matter, you're important, you're this. I mean, I always was told like, oh, Paige, you're so smart, you're so pretty, you're so this or whatever, but my worth. My worth.
So even you talking about the Viola Davis situation, I saw another video on social media where it was this white guy who was talking about how this Black woman complimented him on something. And he said he remembers that compliment. It probably was like 10 years ago, but he still remembers that compliment. So everybody was in the comment section like, oh my God, yes, there's nothing like the love of an older Black woman giving you a compliment. And I was just like, what?
Like, what?
Is that serious? Like, yes, everybody talked about how they were so happy to receive a compliment from a Black woman, no matter young or old. So then it made me remember of me being in the gym, and this girl, I could tell she dyed her hair. It was like a pretty light pink color, right? And I was like, oh my God, I like your hair. And I could, I sense people's energy. So I could tell she was like shocked because I never talked to her before. But she was like so enthralled. So then any other time when I saw her, she kind of like would wave a little something. And I was like, I really made her, I mean, not that I was trying to, I was just giving her a little compliment. But I'm like, I never knew that a compliment from a Black woman just lights up people's world. And it's just natural for us. Like, you wearing that dress, you know, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But it really made a difference in so many people's lives. And I'm just like, really? Is that
do you know what that tells
impactful?
Do you know what that tells me? Because, like, to me, a compliment is a compliment. Like, I love a compliment, right? Who doesn't love being complimented?
Yeah.
You know? But to me, when I hear, and maybe this is because I interact with Black folks on a regular basis and I feel comfortable with, like, you know, people just interacting, and I have to be complimentary. I'm in the beauty, and, you know, I don't give an ingenuine compliment. I won't do that. But, that to me, when you are that stoked that it came from a Black woman, that tells me you don't interact with Black folks a lot. So you are putting it on a different kind of pedestal, but also to me, like, Black women, the Black community is I mean, you're just more gifted in so many ways. Like, artistic, like that essence that I talked about. You know why? Because you had to work twice as hard to prove yourself. So you've had to show up a little bit more in there than I feel like white folks have been conditioned to do, because we don't got to, because we got that privilege.
Now, speaking of that, with the gifts that Black folks have, I had an incident with a client before, and how can I say this? It was related to somewhat of politics.
Oh.
And she's an older white woman, and she was like, well, you know, I just want to let you know that if we really came down to the root of everything, you guys are a lot, you know, more talented.
I'm already like shuddering at you guys. Like,
I mean,
okay,
yeah. And I let her do her whole little spiel. Like, I mean, you know, you can look at, you know, in athletics and, you know, in music and blah, 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 blah. And I just looked at her and I was like, thank you for that, but we are not here for your entertainment.
Yeah.
Because she needed to know, like, it's so much more to Black people than being able to ascend with athletics and to ascend with music and our talents and our gifts. So much more to us than that. And I felt like she put it in a box. Like, well, you guys are a lot better. If we're going to be truthful and honest, you guys are a lot better than us at these things.
But that's why I think that, like, it's really known. It's known. And that's why. And I am not trying to, like, up or down, like, you know, like, any demographic is, you know, better than any other in any way. But it's known. Why do you think that response from that man getting a compliment from a Black woman meant so much? Or that girl at the gym just beamed and just loved that you complimented her. Like, she probably gets a lot of compliments on her light pink hair. That shit ain't normal, you know? Like, okay, but it coming from a Black woman.
Okay.
She knows what's up.
But I think that it's just different because we don't look at it like that.
Because you're you. Because it is you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why we love having these conversations because, you know, I mean, it's your experience. It's what you experience and how you experience it. Yeah. Recently, we went to see the movie Sinners. So
if you have not seen it, go
see it.
Hey,
there's so many layers.
Yeah.
There's just like,
yeah.
There's nothing like it.
Like, I really want to go see it again.
Gonna go see it again. Go see it again. I'm not going to speak too much on it because I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it.
And I don't like spoilers, so I won't say a word.
Okay, but there are so many layers. So racism is a big topic, one of the many layers in this movie. And it takes place back in the 1930s in, like, Delta, Mississippi. The blues are involved, right? Come to find out, like, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Which I was like,
but it's not like horror, because I know initially when I saw
there's nothing like it.
Yeah, like, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, I don't know about that. Yeah. But then I was like, why not?
Like, I love horror and I love blues music. Okay. I loved all. I was like, this is amazing.
So it was a cocktail for you.
It was. Okay. It was. It's so good. I was like, oh my God. I wanted to ask you, in pertaining to that, like, okay, me as a white person or a white woman who, like, loves blues music. Like, I grew up listening to blues because my dad was really into music and always loved the blues. Like, exposed me to it. But as I've gotten older, I'm like, and there are a lot of white people who play blues, like, you know, like, really good. But it originated in the Black community.
A lot of music did.
A lot of music did. A lot of music did. Do you know what rock and roll is? Rock and roll is a combination of country and blues.
Yeah. And, yeah, if you watched have you ever seen the Elvis movie?
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay, well, the Elvis movie, they have Little Richard, and he basically stole the music from Little Richard and going to the Church of Black people. Yeah, and then they were like, oh my God, this new sound. Like, nah, we've been doing that.
No, it's not new, right?
Yeah, sorry, I just had
so, but like, let me ask, is it like, because I was so curious. There were a couple of times I was telling her about it. I was the only white girl sitting down in front. Like, because the friggin' movie was sold out, okay? And I've got, like, a young non-white couple sitting over here, young black couple sitting on this side of me. And I'm literally having to, like, share the booth with people because it was, like, that kind of sold out. It was a little awkward, some of the scenes, because, you know, like, they're clapping every time a white person gets killed. I'm like,
hilarious.
They deserved it, though. I mean, they deserved it. They deserved it. But I'm just kind of like, I almost felt the need to be like,
it's not me.
We're not like that. We're not all like that. Yeah. Like that. Not all men. Right. Not all white people.
Hey. I'm with you.
Yeah. Like, I'm with you. So, but is it okay for white people to appreciate your art and your essence and your creativity? Like, I know that you're not here for white entertainment.
Right.
How is that viewed?
I think it's levels to it.
Okay.
So yes, you can have an appreciation, but don't act like you created it.
Yes.
So for instance, not even talking about the blues. I'm gonna step away from that for a second. Okay. But for instance, like our lingo. Yes. I can't tell you how sometimes it irritates me to see certain things. So let's say recently, I'm gonna give you one because it really is like,
please.
So recently, our president did something, and the
you're ready to know.
Whoever was on the X account was like, "Let them cook." And yeah, now listen,
I'm so out of the news. Like, I don't get anything anymore.
I say, I was like, what? Like, what? Why did you even have to say that? That's our lingo.
Let them cook.
And granted, it's just a few words, but normally a white person would not say "let them cook" and know what's going on with that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like little stuff like that irritates me. But no, if you have appreciation, like, oh, I love the way really you guys have. Yeah. That's different than trying to steal it.
Into that whole like old adage of, you know, the greatest form of flattery is imitation.
I'm not a fan of that. That's not me. And that's me personally.
I've also had this come up before I have never had it said to my face, but it's been said before about me that because I have a lot of black clients that I'm trying to be black. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And I'm not out here searching for certain clients. If anything, I'm doing a damn good job because they send in their friends to me.
Do they know you?
I guess not, because it wasn't said to my face. Like, and if they did, yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I have met people where I'm like, not that they're trying to be black, but they really immerse themselves in a culture where you can tell, like, now you wish you was with a little bit more melanin. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They always, so for instance, they always talk about like white girls with a certain haircut. Do you know what the haircut is?
Yes, I do.
What's the haircut, Paige?
It's like short and like, it's not like the Karen haircut or let me see your manager haircut, but it kind of is. It's got that like
long on one side and a little shorter on the other side.
Yeah, yes, the asymmetrical.
So usually when girls will have that, like, she date black guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's like certain things.
I wonder if that's why, like, because I didn't have an asymmetrical. Okay, I had an asymmetrical haircut once, but that's because I shaved the side of my head and I was trying to grow the bitch out. You know, like. So what if that's the time that they were saying
I wonder. But yeah, but the fact that you have a lot of black clientele that they probably put two and two together, but you don't act it. But it's some people who try to do the lingo, you know, the sass, you know. Now all of a sudden it really tripped me out that all of a sudden white girls are wearing bonnets. Like where did that come from?
What is going on? Because I'm like,
you ever seen that?
Yes, and I'm like, why are you wearing a bonnet? That's not made for you.
Because don't y'all wash your hair almost every day or every other day or something like that?
I mean, yeah, okay, this fine Caucasian hair, I say fine Caucasian hair as in the texture. I cannot, I mean, like, it sticks to my head. It's raining out today, and I got no body. You know what I mean? So, like, if we don't wash it, like, every other day, or dry shampoo the shit out of it, it gets worse.
Yeah, but we wear bonnets to preserve our hair. Like,
exactly.
I got these rollers in. I got this wrap going on. Let me put my bonnet on. So, it was just interesting all of a sudden when you see white girls wearing the big lashes, and then the long-ass nails, and then the bonnets. It was just like... Can we have anything to ourselves?
That is something that I got from the movie. It was like, wait, now you want to take our music too?
Exactly. He saw something that he wanted. He cherished, like, oh, let's get the people
going. He was entitled to it.
Yeah.
Because it's white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what happens.
And that is the vibe. Not vibe. I mean, I thought it was very blatant. It was very obvious. And I'm like, that's so... and I don't know if everybody picks up on that, but I see that a lot just in day to day and just interacting with certain people. And I notice it more in white folks who try to like speak or act or embrace Black culture, not in a way of appreciation, but I guess this is appropriation then. Is that what appropriation is?
To a certain degree.
Okay.
Because, back in the day, it was a huge argument when, like, Kim Kardashian all of a sudden did these cornrows.
I was going to say cornrows.
And she tried to say, like, oh, no, I got this from, it was a white supermodel. I don't remember her name. Bo something. And it's because of Bo. And it's just like, well, no, that tradition is from us. But it's beyond hairstyles. To me, I don't think that's like such a big deal. But I know a lot of people got upset if she was to wear like kente cloth or anything like that because that's a cultural type of situation. Mm-hmm. I think it's levels to everything. So yeah, you can appreciate, but do not appropriate.
Waist beads.
Yeah.
I made some for myself one time because I was trying to gauge my weight loss. Yeah. But I know that is an African culture.
That is.
Thing, you know what I mean? And it's not just that. But I did it and I would hide it under, I mean, obviously you're hiding under your clothes, but I was going through a weight loss period and one of my clients told me about it. I was like, oh, I'm going to make my own. And I think that's a really cool way to, like, for me,
measure.
I was using it to measure and gauge my weight loss rather than worry about the freaking number on the scale. And I felt sexy.
Yes, they are.
Yes, and I have even though I'm a bigger girl, I've got a waist, So yes, I do. I mean, I'll show you sometime. Do the Heretta shimmy.
Yeah.
But I thought about that. But
did you feel some type of way about putting them on?
I did.
Really?
I did because I was like, well, I mean, I'd be cool that my client who taught me about it knew or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I even asked her, I was like, is it okay that I wear them?
And what
is it okay? She was like, yeah, we don't own that.
Exactly.
So, but the thing is what if I showed up at a pool party or whatever after we had talked about it and I didn't ask her anything and I just showed up with them? Would there be a certain thing of
that right there wouldn't bother me.
So,
because that's an accessory.
It's an accessory, right?
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of like saying, Native Americans used to put feathers in their hair.
Yes.
So all of a sudden nobody could put feathers. I think that, like I said,
I've done levels. That too.
I think it's levels to everything. Mm-hmm. But there is some that are ignorant.
Yes.
Yeah. So ignorance is totally different. But to me, that's an accessory. No. It's not going to be like a whole uproar because you decided to wear waist beads.
Yeah.
I have a client who has a business in waist beads. Yeah. And she always photos white women with buying them. Because they're like, oh my God, they're so pretty.
At what point does appreciation cross over into appropriation or exploitation? If anybody else is watching this who has an answer to this or would like to chime in on this topic, please drop your comments below. We would absolutely love you to join us on this because I think as a white person, not enough white people are talking about this stuff and also don't feel comfortable enough to ask about it because you are not here to educate us. Just you're not here to entertain us. And I feel very, like I said, very grateful that I have people so close to me that I feel so comfortable with to ask questions.
And because I think it's funny what's recently going on online is that they ask what's a question you ever wanted to ask a white person?
So leave your comments below if you want to ask a white person or ask a Black woman.
Yeah.
Can we do that too?
Yeah. But it's funny if you find it. It's usually on Facebook where they have these posts or whatnot and they really go in so for instance, want to ask Black people and somebody commented was like, why every time something's hilarious you guys have to run? And I think that's hilarious. Whenever something's super funny, we get up and we run, just emphasis on it. So it's weird questions like that. What? And then when it was ask another asked a question. This white woman was like, "Why would I bring stuff to potluck? You guys don't eat it."
Joke that white folks don't use flavor in their food.
Yes, like, that is it too. But another one is we're really paranoid. We always hear about like cats being all up in everything, so everybody's gonna get cat hair. Like it's just judgments that we have about the other cultures or whatnot. It just
I love that. I don't know. Again, maybe it's the Aquarius thing. I'm like, let's do stuff that makes everybody uncomfortable, but like, let's ask the questions.
And then, for instance, for Black people asking white people questions, the question was, do you guys seriously don't use washcloths? Like, what is that about?
Okay, I saw this video on YouTube where it was talking about white folks not being very hygienic. Yeah. And I was really shocked at what some people were saying. Like, I'm like, have you heard? I don't like a washcloth because I think it's dirty. I use a loofah or exfoliating gloves, and I change it regularly. Yeah. But like some people were like, they don't like
use anything.
Yeah, they're just like, what? The water washes me, and I'm like, what?
And let's talk about dating from a cultural aspect.
Yes, let's. Mm-hmm.
So, personally, like when we were preparing for this episode, we brought up the subject of dating because I tend to only want to date Black men. And Paige was like, really?
Yes, because in my head, I have dated a very just like my clientele, I've dated a very diverse group of men. Yeah. And I kind of just assumed that Heretta was like, she's a very open mind, very free spirited. So when she said, like, I will only date Black men, I was like,
Black men. Yeah.
Really?
Like,
Why?
Why? And I was like, I don't think I could be able to come home to someone who doesn't know my walk in life. Yep. And she like processed it for a while. I was like, oh, and then
total sense.
Yeah, because I was like, it's a safety thing.
Yes.
And then in the back of my mind, like, I deal with stuff on an everyday life that, no offense, but you wouldn't understand.
I'm not ever going to understand.
Yeah. So it's like I would have to come home. Like, you would not understand what happened to me at the grocery store today. This woman just act like I wasn't even there. She like she never seen me. And then I would need my partner to be like, man,
your Black partner will be like empathizing with you because they understand. Yeah. Because they also experience it.
Right. But compared to me having another ethnic,
that is just, I feel like another layer that you'd have to try and find some way to relate
for them to understand. Yeah. I'm not trying to explain anything coming home. Like this, my home is supposed to be my safe space, and I'm not trying to. Now, granted, it has been an uprise in interracial couples or whatever, and hey, whatever works for you. Yeah. And a lot of Black women are saying that they're dating white men because they treat them a whole different kind of level. Mm-hmm. But then you hear Black men say, well, white women treat us totally different. So I think the dynamics of it is different strokes for different folks. But for me personally, I prefer to date Black men. Now, I've dated Latin, but that's just about it because they got melanin. But
I was gonna say, but the one thing they have in common is like they got more melanin in their skin,
and
right?
They understand
they're seen differently in white culture. I immediately tried to relate with Heretta and be like, well, what is it like that I absolutely have to have on that level that might be comparable? And to me, like, I'm always searching for a partner that can understand me at an emotional level, which, let's just be honest, is very difficult to find in, like, between men and women in general.
Oh, for sure.
Right. But there really wasn't something comparable because, I mean, there is just this sense of white entitlement on different levels, no matter where you go, especially I feel like in white men. And again, this is not to put, all people of a certain demographic up or down, but it's just like, there's this real lack of empathy or compassion or understanding that I feel like some of these like Black women who are dating these white men who are able to reach for their women to make them feel and help them feel safer in their presence. You know what I mean? Because some men, I'm really amazed at how they're showing up. They're showing up with more compassion, empathy, and I think that is the main thing that doesn't come so naturally to men as it does to women, that men have to learn how to do.
That's what Black people say. They have been putting in the work. A lot of men have been putting in the work because I think the lens is a little bit more wider for them to see, like, oh, we on some BS.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, now that we are in this generation of speaking up and saying, like, what we like and what we don't like, which goes back to you guys as white women not speaking up as much.
Right.
But for black women, like, no, I don't like the fact that you do this, that, and the other. And then a lot of men look like, oh, well, you just hammering on me, or you nagging this, that, and the other. And it's just like, no, I'm vocal about what I will settle for and what I won't settle for.
Right.
But unfortunately, that causes us to be single a lot. And within that, there's been studies for years and years and years that if you were not in a positive mind state, it would feel like, oh, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life, because so many studies have come out talking about black women are the least desirable. But then it's kind of like, are we? Because people are always, checking us out, talking about lusting. So it's the difference between lusting and loving.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, these studies might say this, but in reality, is that so?
The most abused person in society, especially American society, is the black woman.
Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, Malcolm X.
Malcolm X. I'm like, oh shit, see, I know Malcolm X and I didn't know it.
He said the most disrespected person in America is the black woman.
Yes.
The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. And the most neglected person in America is the black woman. And it's like, yeah,
I can totally see that. I feel like if you can't step outside of your experience for a minute and try to empathize with that, you're sitting in a victim mindset. I could argue like, oh, white women, we have like victim, like we're victimized too, blah, 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 which we're going to talk about in a different, it's on a different level, in a different way. But overall, because I think back to like, Black women having to be like housemaids and wet nurses and stuff, and then they still have their own children to raise, like slave breeding, and just all of this stuff that has generationally been handed down, culturally, societally, and it's just like, how can you not consider that and recognize that and see that, like, of course, Black women have had to be extremely strong. Emotionally, physically, everything.
But now it's been a movement where it's like, rest. Yes. Sit back and rest.
You just rest.
Because it's only so much that you can do.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So that I think that's what the season is now. Even a lot of Black women are kind of like, if I'm single, I'm single. But I'm not settling, and I'm so fulfilled within our lives that it's like, my favorite statement is, what are you going to add to me? What value are you going to add to my life? Because I'm very full. I'm very happy on so many aspects of my life. So I want a partnership who can add value.
Yes.
If you're not adding value, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.